Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm here for another Tuesday talk. And this week I wanted to talk about a concern somebody had brought up to me, which was that why is it 1 minute of food is good for us and then the next minute that same food is bad for us? And this is a very valid concern, especially for anyone who's just trying to do the best for their health. And it seems like no matter where we look, everyone is contradicting each other. The experts, the news, Instagram influencers, your family, your friends. Like what do we do and who should we trust? So obviously experts are a really great source of information, but oftentimes our attention goes to media and articles that are written by journalists who not only aren't experts in the field, but they may not have the skill needed to read and understand results of research, even if they have the best intentions. So in this video, I'm just going to walk you through, I don't know how many tips I have, but just my tips for creating your filter and how to decipher nutrition in the news. Okay, so I have my phone just so that I don't get off track and so that I don't miss out on anything that I want to share with you guys. Okay, so my first piece of advice is that when an article you're reading is describing a study, it's really important, and it doesn't always happen, but it's ideal if the method of that study is explained. And what I mean by this is that it matters if the study was done on 8 people versus 8,000 people. It makes a huge difference. It also makes a difference if the researchers were the ones observing the changes or the results, or if the participants were self-reporting, right? Makes a huge difference. There's bias, there's the chance of error, you know, like anything could happen at that point. My second piece of advice is that you have to make sure the study has been published in a peer-reviewed journal, like the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition as an example. This just gives us an extra layer of certainty. You know, we have other experts in the field looking at the body of work or research and helping us come to a sound conclusion of what the research is actually telling us from people who are experts in the field. It's really important. It's also a huge red flag if the study hasn't even been published yet, which happens because people are really excited about results or about what's happening, but we have to wait until things can be peer-reviewed. My third piece of advice, which is hugely important, is when you're looking at a study, you have to know what the subject matter was of the study. And by this, I mean what was the test subject? So was it a mouse? Were they cells in a dish, or was it an actual human? This is so important because we obviously don't have that much in common with cells in a dish. We only have so much in common with mice. When a research study is focused on something that's not a human, we can only hypothesize how those results might translate to a human. If the study was done on a human, then we know that we have the most in common, and we can then hypothesize that the results will translate to us. My fourth piece of advice is that you have to be aware of headlines that are touting a new answer to a nutrition question. Nutrition is so complex, guys, that there is not one simple solution or one answer to our problems. We're constantly learning, new research is constantly going to be coming out, things are going to change. So just approach these with curiosity, with a grain of salt. Glance at it if you're just curious, but news flashes are intended to grab your attention and to get you to read the article. My fifth piece of advice is something that I say over and over, and it's that you guys have to understand there is not one food that's going to be miraculous for you or detrimental for you. It's all about your eating pattern, and your eating pattern is your diet as a whole. It's what you're eating cumulatively, okay? All of your efforts matter, and it's not just one food that's going to ruin it for you or going to like help you reach your goals. Like add in this stalk of broccoli and you're going to reach all your goals. Like that's just not how it works. And then one thing, I'm just going to read it from my phone because I just want to capture it all properly. And it's a concern that I have with nutrition news, and it's when they're trying to create distrust about the current methods of medicine and with our food supply, trying to make us think that it's not safe. First of all, our food supply is incredibly safe, and we're really fortunate to have the access to food that we do have, only to worry about minuscule things. But these articles tend to try to provide you with an alternative, a safer option. They like to use the word natural to imply safety, but if something is natural or synthetic, that doesn't tell you anything about its safety or its sustainability. Like arsenic is a naturally occurring compound, and it's not necessarily the safest thing. But what it does come down to with safety is the exposure to something and how often and how much you're being exposed to it. And people can be very successful by using logic without proof when it comes to this. It's easy to fall into it when someone is claiming something with sound reasoning, but it hasn't been shown scientifically to be true, or it hasn't even been tested at all, which is really scary. But it's hard to accept science when our reasonings are just biased or closed off to hearing something different, or to even try to understand something different. And when it comes to people in social media, sadly there are people with advanced degrees. That doesn't automatically make them good sources of information. Sadly, there are bad eggs in every basket, let's be honest. So we really have to be vigilant with where we're getting information from. And I just wanted to share some red flags that I have when I see news or information being spewed out on social media. So for example, anyone that says that you have a huge problem and they're offering you a solution, either by selling you something or trying to sell you an ideal that they came up with or that they wrote about in a book, that is a huge red flag. If they're also relying on fear tactics or scary words like big pharma or big industry, or using scary words like cancer, like that is another huge red flag for me, because that's when they're tapping into your emotions and they're not trying to use that opportunity to explain something in a logical sense to you. They're not trying to teach you something. They're trying to make you scared, which isn't how education should work. Lastly, if you're seeing scientific information in a post, it's really important to remember context. Context, context, context. I can't say it enough. I couldn't tell you how many posts I've seen where the person takes one line out of a study published by like Harvard, for example, and they use it completely out of context. So they can take a line from an abstract and post it and talk about it and fail to mention the rest of the study or even the results that the study came to. So if you're getting information from people that are just regurgitating it to you without giving you context, then that is a huge red flag. So be vigilant about the media and who you let into your mind and into your life, and who you let inspire change for you and like what changes to make. There's also the issue of people saying, well, I googled it and I found exactly what I thought. And that's something called confirmation bias. And guys, if you want to find something, you're going to find it. The expertise comes in when you're able to zoom out from your own thoughts, your own biases, and understand all of the other positions and all the supporting data, and then make an opinion about the subject. But that's not what happens when you Google what are the risks of artificial sweeteners, for example. So guys, please keep an open mind and take things with a grain of salt. I would say to be more critical of what you choose to apply in your own lifestyle. Nutrition is one of the youngest fields in science, and there is of course so much that we have yet to learn and understand about it, which is so exciting. But that means that with more research and more time, things will likely change, and we just have to keep an open mind. And as a professional in the field, I have to accept that things will change. Like when my older colleagues where I am right now in their careers and their education, back then the gut microbiome, for example, wasn't even being talked about really. So like the whole point is that we have to be open-minded and accept change as it comes with credible research and studies, and I'm really excited to see what more we have to learn about the field of nutrition because it's so expansive. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any topics you want me to cover in my future videos, feel free to comment them below. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them there as well, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday.